The pre-flight check defining the identity. My friends, we are about to embark on the greatest journey a human being can take. The journey from the person you seem to be to the person you truly desire to be. But before we begin the mechanics of the mind, before we close our eyes and enter the silence, we must perform what I call the pre-flight check. In the world of aviation, a pilot does not simply jump into the cockpit and pull back on the stick. He must first ensure that the aircraft is the correct one for the destination. He must verify his coordinates. And in the world of the spirit, your coordinates are not numbers on a map, they are the qualities of your identity. You must understand this fundamental truth, or all your techniques will be in vain. Manifestation does not bring you what you want, it brings you what you are. The universe does not respond to your wishing, it responds to your being. We have been taught the great lie of the world, which is that we must do things to have things, so that we can eventually be someone. But the law of the spirit reverses this entirely. You must first be E, then you will naturally do, and then you will inevitably AAV. The law of being. Everything in your world today, the clothes on your back, the money in your bank, and the people in your life, is a perfect, mathematical reflection of your current identity. If you are currently identified as a struggler, you can visualize gold all day long, but you will only manifest more things to struggle for. Why? Because you are broadcasting the struggle frequency. The law of being states that your I am is the only creative power. You cannot outrun your own concept of yourself. To use manifestation correctly, you must stop doing techniques to get something. You are not a beggar at the gates of heaven, trying to persuade a distant God to give you a crumb. You are a consciousness that is currently clothed in a specific identity. If you want a different result, you must change the garment. You must define the version of yourself that already possesses the result. You don't do manifestation to get the money. You use it to become the person for whom that money is a natural, boring, everyday fact. Defining the new identity, I want you to sit with this question. Who would I be if my wish were already a fact? Do not think about how it will happen. Do not think about the steps to get there. Instead, look at the character of that person. How does a person with $10 million walk? How do they breathe? When they look at a menu in a restaurant, do they look at the prices first, or do they look at what they desire? When they wake up in the morning, is there a knot of anxiety in their stomach, or is there a deep, quiet sense of security? This is the identity. This is the version of you that exists in the quantum field right now. Manifestation is the process of donning this new identity. You are not creating this person, you are occupying them. If you remain the same old you, trying to use new techniques, you will fail. But if you become a new you, the techniques become almost unnecessary, for the new identity will naturally attract its own corresponding reality. The mirror of consciousness, the 3D world, is nothing more than a giant mirror. If you stand before a mirror and you don't like the fact that the person in the reflection isn't wearing a crown, you don't reach out and try to paint a crown on the glass. That is what the world does. They try to change the reflection through force and labor. No, you must stand taller and place the crown on your own head. The moment you be the crowned one, the mirror has no choice but to reflect the crown. Before you enter your meditation tonight, I want you to perform this identity audit. Strip away the labels that the world has given you. Forget your past failures. Forget your age and your education. Return to the I am, and then, from that place of pure potential, decide, I am wealthy. I am secure. I am chosen. You must define this identity with such clarity that you can feel the skin of it. The shift from seeking to being. The seeker is someone who believes their treasure is outside of them. The beer is someone who knows they are the treasure. When you operate from the law of being, your techniques change. You no longer visualize to make something happen in the future. You experience the fact that it is happening now. You are not traveling to a destination, you are dwelling in a state. This is the pre-flight check. If you skip this, your plane will never leave the ground because you are trying to fly a Alpha-Theta class plane to a wealthy class destination. You must upgrade the aircraft. You must change your I am. Tonight, do not ask the universe for wealth. Instead, become the person who already has it. Feel the weight of that identity. Feel the aroma of that success. Once the identity is fixed, the manifestation is a mathematical certainty. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. Define your I am tonight, and the world will bow to your new name. Constructing the single sensory act, the art of the implication. My friends, we move now from the who to the how. You have defined your new identity. You have decided who you are. But now, you must give that identity a body. You must give it a fact to hold on to. One of the greatest mistakes people make in manifestation is trying to visualize a long, complex movie. They try to see themselves getting the phone call, then walking to the bank, then buying the house, and then hosting the party. But the human mind is like a wild horse. If you give it too much ground to cover, it will gallop away into distraction. To manifest with the precision of a surgeon, you must master the single sensory act. The mind can wander, but the senses anchor. You do not need a feature-length film to change your life. You need a short, 5-second scene, a loop of sensory reality that implies your wish is already a finished fact. We call this the implication of the end. You are not looking at the process. You are not looking at how it happened. You are standing in the moment after it has occurred, and you are using your senses to prove it. The power of sensory vividness. Why do we use the senses? Because the subconscious mind does not know the difference between a physical event and a vivid sensory imagination. To the subconscious, feeling is truth. If you simply think about money, you are still in the world of shadows. But if you feel the cold, metallic weight of a heavy gold coin in the palm of your hand, and you smell the faint, metallic scent of that gold, your subconscious accepts it as a present fact. Your senses are the hooks that drag the infinite potential of the quantum field into the solid reality of your life. When you construct your scene, you must pick one sense to dominate. Don't try to see, hear, smell, and touch all at once. Pick the one that feels most real to you. Is it the touch of a specific fabric? Is it the sound of a specific voice saying, "Congratulations"? Is it the scent of a specific environment? This single act becomes the anchor that holds your consciousness in the new timeline. The law of implication. This is the secret key that turns the lock. Your scene must imply that the desire is already fulfilled. It must be a scene that could only happen if your wish were a fact. If you want a new car, do not visualize yourself driving down the road. You could be driving someone else's car, or you could be dreaming. Instead, feel the specific texture of the leather steering wheel of your car. Smell the new car scent that belongs only to a vehicle that is yours. Feel the weight of the key fob in your pocket. If you want wealth, do not visualize a pile of cash. That is, looking at the thing. Instead, imagine a friend shaking your hand and saying, "I am so incredibly proud of your success." Feel the pressure of their grip. Hear the sincerity in their voice. This scene implies that you are already successful. It bypasses the how and lands you directly in the id. You are not trying to get rich. You are being congratulated because you already are. Constructing your 5-second loop. I want you to keep your scene short. 5 seconds is plenty. If the scene is too long, you will lose the vividness. You want to create a loop that you can play over and over again until it takes on the tones of reality. Think of it like a GIF or a short video clip that repeats. For a relationship, feel the weight and the coolness of a wedding ring on your finger. Turn it with your thumb. Feel the metal against your skin. Loop it. For financial freedom, see a specific balance on your phone screen. Don't look at the numbers as a goal. Look at them as a statement of fact. Feel the cool glass of the phone. Loop it for a new home. Feel the specific weight of the heavy brass key as you turn it in the lock of your new front door. Hear the click as the bolt slides back. Loop it, anchoring the state as you enter your state akin to sleep. Tonight, you will bring this single sensory act into the silence with you. You will not watch it from the outside. You will participate in it. You are not seeing a person's hand being shaken. You are feeling the hand in yours. You are not looking at a ring. You are feeling the ring on your finger. The moment you feel the sensory fact, you have collapsed the wave. You have told the quantum field that this is no longer a possibility. It is a fact. The subconscious cannot argue with a sensory experience. It must accept the end you have provided, and once the end is accepted, it will begin to move the world to produce the means. The precision of the master. Do not be vague. The universe does not respond to, "I want to be comfortable." It responds to the specific gravity of your sensory act. Pick one thing, one touch, one sound, one smell, and make it so real that when you open your eyes, you are momentarily shocked to find yourself back in your current room. That shock is the sign that you have successfully shifted your identity. Tonight, stop the feature film of your worries. Stop the pick movie of your struggles. Distill your entire future into one 5-second sensory act. Loop it until it becomes natural. Loop it until it becomes yours. The mind wanders, but the senses anchor. Anchor your soul in the end, and the end will manifest as your world. Pick your act. Feel the weight. Loop the truth. It is finished. Entering the state akin to sleep, the gateway of the twilight zone, my friends. We have defined our new identity. We have constructed our single sensory act. But now, we must discuss the timing of the operation. In the world of the spirit, as in the world of agriculture, there is a right time to plant the seed. If you throw a seed onto hard, dry soil in the middle of a scorching day, the birds will eat it or the sun will wither it. You must wait for the soil to be soft, moist, and receptive. In the laboratory of your mind, that soft soil is the state akin to sleep, or what the masters call sates. This is the twilight zone of human consciousness. It is that magical, hazy borderland between the waking world and the world of deep sleep. It is the moment when you are no longer fully alert, yet you have not yet lost consciousness. This is the most powerful moment of your 24-hour cycle, for it is here that you find the Alpha-Theta Bridge. It is the gateway to the subconscious mind. If you learn to master this state, you hold the keys to the kingdom, for you can plant any fact into the subconscious and it must grow into a physical reality. The gatekeeper of the conscious mind. To understand why sets is so essential, you must understand the gatekeeper. During the day, while you are wide awake, your conscious mind is on high alert. It is analytical, it is critical, and it is deeply tied to the evidence of your 5 senses. If you try to affirm, "I am wealthy," while you are fully awake, the gatekeeper looks at your bank balance and shouts, "No, you are not! Look at these bills. Look at this struggle." The conscious mind rejects the seed because it doesn't match the current facts. But as you begin to drift towards sleep, a biological miracle occurs. Your brain waves begin to slow down. You move from the fast, jagged beta waves of the waking day into the rhythmic, relaxed alpha waves, and finally into the deep, hypnotic theta waves. In this theta state, the gatekeeper grows drowsy. He drops his guard. He stops arguing. This is your window of opportunity. This is when the subconscious mind, which has no power of rejection, is wide open. This is when you slip past the guard and plant your single sensory act directly into the fertile soil of the infinite. The Alpha-Theta Bridge, the creative frequency. The Alpha-Theta Bridge is the frequency of creation. It is the state where the imaginary becomes real. When you are in satis, your body is immobilized, your senses are dulled, and your internal world becomes far more vivid than the external world. In this state, the subconscious cannot tell the difference between a physical touch and an imagined one. If you are too alert, if you are trying too hard or using too much willpower, you stay in the beta state. You remain your own way. You are trying to force the gate open, but the master doesn't force. The master relaxes. You must induce a state of controlled drowsiness. You must be so relaxed that you could move your arm if you had to, but you have absolutely no desire to do so. In this state of divine lethargy, you are no longer a victim of your history, you are the architect of your destiny. How to induce the setes tonight? As you lie in your bed, do not simply collapse into sleep. Sleep is a talent that must be used consciously. Lay flat on your back or in a position that is comfortable but not your usual sleeping position. This helps you stay in the twilight zone longer without falling immediately into a deep, unconscious sleep. Begin to relax every muscle, from your toes to the top of your head. Breathe deeply and slowly. As you feel the heaviness of sleep beginning to wash over you, this is your cue. Now you introduce your single sensory act. Do not think about the scene, enter the scene, feel the ring, smell the leather, hear the congratulations. Because you are on the Alpha-Theta Bridge, this act will take on a life of its own. It will begin to feel solid. It will feel present. You loop this scene over and over, gently, effortlessly, until the feeling of the wish fulfilled saturates your entire being. You stay in the loop until the imaginary action has all the sensory vividness of reality. The midnight transaction. You must understand that you are not fantasizing. You are performing a midnight transaction. You are delivering a new set of orders to the subconscious mind. The subconscious is the builder. It takes whatever blueprints you give it during the sites and begins to rearrange the world to match them. If you fall asleep in a state of worry, you are giving the builder a blueprint of lack. But if you fall asleep in the state of the wish fulfilled, using the settees to bypass the gatekeeper, you have secured your future. You wake up the next morning as a different person. You may not see the wealth immediately, but the psychological pregnancy has begun. The seed is in the ground, and by the law of the spirit, it must come to harvest. Mastering the haze. Do not be discouraged if you fall asleep too quickly at first. This is a skill that is developed through gentle persistence. The goal is to stay in that hazy center for as long as possible, looping your sensory act until you finally slip into sleep while still holding the feeling of the end. The state akin to sleep is your greatest ally. It is the time when the impossible becomes I am. It is the moment when the invisible becomes IAV. Stop fighting the world during the day. Stop arguing with the gatekeeper. Wait for the twilight. Wait for the haze. The gate is open. The soil is soft. The bridge is ready. Plant your wealth tonight in the silence of the settees. Go to sleep in the feeling of being the person you want to be, and you will wake up in a world that is forced to reflect it. The loop of persistency, achieving psychological saturation. My friends, we have found the twilight hour. We have reached the borderland of sleep, and we have brought with us our single sensory act. But now, we come to the part where most seekers fail. Most people glance at their desire and then wonder why it doesn't appear. They treat their imagination like a television channel they are flipping through, seeing a glimpse of wealth, then a glimpse of worry, then a glimpse of hope. But the subconscious mind is not moved by a glance. It is moved by sustained impression. To change your world, you must master the loop of persistency. You must stay within your 5-second scene until you achieve what I call psychological saturation. You must understand that the subconscious mind is like a giant flywheel. It is heavy, and it has immense momentum. To change its direction, you cannot simply give it a single nudge. You must apply a consistent, rhythmic force until the old momentum stops and the new momentum takes over. This is the purpose of the loop. You are not watching a movie, you are participating in an experience over and over, until the imaginary action becomes more real to you than the bed you are lying on. Participation vs. observation. This is a distinction of vital importance. If you see yourself on a stage receiving an award, you are an observer. You are looking at a version of you that is over there, separated by space and time. This only reinforces the idea that you do not have it yet. In the quantum field, if you observe yourself having it later, the field will keep it later, forever. Instead, you must be a participant. You do not see yourself shaking a hand, you feel the hand in yours. You do not see a ring on a finger, you feel the cold metal against your own skin. You are looking through your own eyes, hearing with your own ears, and touching with your own hands. You are in the scene. The loop of persistency requires you to inhabit the body of the wealthy version of yourself. You are not visiting this reality, you are occupying it. The science of psychological saturation. Why do we loop a short, 5-second scene? Because the shorter the scene, the easier it is to keep it vivid. If you try to loop a 10-minute story, your mind will wander to your grocery list or your boss. But a 5-second clip, the sound of a voice saying, "It's done," or the feel of a specific key, can be held with laser-like focus. As you loop this scene in the settees, something incredible happens. Each time you repeat the act, you are inking the subconscious. The first time it may feel faint. The 5th time it feels possible. The 20th time it feels likely. But by the 50th or 100th loop, you reach the point of psychological saturation. This is the moment when the subconscious mind flips. It stops seeing the scene as a thought and starts seeing it as a memory of a fact. The feeling of "it is happening" transforms into the unshakable conviction that it has happened. Tones of reality. Neville spoke often of the tones of reality. These are the sensory details that convince the brain that an experience is physical. In your loop, do not just think of the wealth. Search for the tones. If your loop is a handshake, feel the texture of the skin. Is it dry? Is the grip firm? If your loop is a bank statement, see the specific font of the numbers. Feel the weight of the paper or the coolness of the phone's glass. If your loop is a voice, hear the specific timbre and pitch. Hear the breath behind the words. As you loop, the scene should get brighter and louder and more solid in your mind. You are thickening the imaginary state until it has all the sensory qualities of the 3D world. When you reach this level of vividness, you have successfully compressed the subconscious. You have saturation, the dry run of the soul. Think of the loop of persistency as a dry run for your new life. You are practicing being the wealthy person until the practice feels like reality. When an actor rehearses a role 1,000 times, they don't have to think about their lines anymore. They become the character. You are rehearsing the role of the successful, wealthy, free individual. Tonight, as you lie in that state akin to sleep, do not be lazy with your loop. Be persistent. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the first second of your 5-second scene. Start the loop again. This is the work of the soul. It is the only work that matters. You are paving the road in the invisible so that your physical feet have a solid path to walk on tomorrow. The point of satisfaction. How do you know when you have looped enough? You will know by the feeling of satisfaction. There will come a moment, perhaps tonight, perhaps in a few days, where you will feel a sudden release of tension. You will feel full. You will no longer feel the desire to manifest because in your internal world you already have it. When you reach this state of saturation, you can let the loop go and drift off into a deep, natural sleep. You have done your duty. You have convinced the only person who needs convincing, yourself. Once you are convinced, the command has been issued to the universe, and the command cannot be revoked. Do not glance. Do not hope. Loop the scene. Feel the tones. Saturate your soul, capturing the frequency of naturalness. The law of lack of reverence, my friends. We have learned to loop our scene. We have learned to saturate the subconscious mind. But now, we must address the vibrational wall that keeps so many seekers standing on the outside looking in. We must speak of the frequency of naturalness. You see, the biggest mistake most people make when they begin to manifest wealth or success is that they treat their desire as something huge. They treat it as a miracle. They look at the millions of dollars or the dream home with a sense of awe and reverence. And while that may seem like a positive emotion, in the cold, hard logic of the quantum field, reverence is the same as separation. If you put your desire on a pedestal, you have automatically placed yourself at the bottom of that pedestal. If you think your manifestation is amazing, you are telling your subconscious that it is not normal. And the subconscious mind, the great builder, only builds what is normal for you. It does not manifest what you revere. It manifests what you take for granted. To walk through the door of your new life, you must strip away the magic and bring it down to the level of naturalness. The law of reverence. We have been conditioned by religion and society to revere the things we want. We are told to beg for miracles, but in the kingdom of the spirit, reverence is a barrier. When you revere wealth, you are essentially saying to the universe, this is a big deal. This is unusual. This is not like me. This creates a potential gap. The higher you place the goal, the further away it feels. The master, however, practices a lack of reverence. The master knows that $1 billion is no more difficult for the infinite to produce than a penny. To the quantum field, there is no big and no small. There is only pattern. If you want the pattern of wealth to become your physical reality, you must make it feel as ordinary as the shoes on your feet. You must be able to think of your success without your heart racing or your palms sweating. You must achieve the frequency of naturalness. As normal as putting on your shoes, think about the things you already have in your life. Think about your current bed, your current car, or the air you are breathing right now. You don't visualize the air. You don't affirm that you have shoes. Why? Because they are natural. They are so much a part of your identity that they have become invisible to your ego. This is the sweet spot of manifestation. When you are in your states tonight and you are looping your single sensory act, pay attention to your emotional reaction. If you feel a surge of excitement or disbelief, you are still too far from the goal. Excitement is the vibration of getting. Naturalness is the vibration of having. You must loop the scene until the excitement fades away and is replaced by a sense of quiet normality. Wealth should feel as natural to you as breathing. It should feel like old news. The how of normalizing greatness. How do we lower the voltage of our desire so it becomes natural? We do it through familiarity. The more you visit the state in your imagination, the more normal it becomes. This is why the loop of persistency is so vital. The first time you imagine having $1 million, you might feel a rush of adrenaline, but by the 500th time, it becomes just another day. You must desensitize yourself to the of your dream. If you want to be a world-class speaker, do not visualize the applause. That makes you feel like a viewer. Instead, visualize yourself sitting backstage after the speech, bored, looking at your watch, thinking about what you want for dinner. This scene implies the speech was a success, but it treats the success as routine. This is the frequency of naturalness. It takes the pedestal away and puts the power in your hands. The mirror of habit. The subconscious mind is a creature of habit. It loves what is frequent. It hates what is sudden. If you try to shock your subconscious with a miracle, it will often trigger a rejection response. But if you'd your subconscious a natural fact, it will accept it without a fight. Tonight, as you drift into that state akin to sleep, I want you to dress in your new identity, but do not dress in wedding clothes. Dress in your everyday clothes. Feel the wealth as a standard. Feel the health as a requirement. Feel the success as a boring fact. When you reach the state where you can say, I am Milt HY, with the same emotional intensity as you say, I am sitting in a chair, you have won the game. The time lag will vanish, and the 3D world will be forced to harden into the natural pattern you have established, relocating the center of gravity. Most people have their center of gravity in the lack. They have to work to feel rich. You must shift your center of gravity to the wealth, so that you would have to work to feel poor. You must reach the point where poverty feels unnatural and weird to you. The frequency of naturalness is the final bridge. It is the passage from the world of wishing to the world of being. Stop treating your dreams as special. Treat them as expected. Stop treating the universe as a granter of wishes and start treating it as a mirror of normality. If it is amazing, it is not yours yet. If it is natural, it is already here. Settle into the ordinariness of your greatness. Breathe it in. Wear it like an old coat. The loop is the bridge. Persistency is the power. The saturation is the result. The isn't it wonderful lullaby, the power of the emotional essence. My friends, we have explored the intricate architecture of the single sensory act. We have discussed the vividness of touch, the clarity of sound, and the precision of the mental loop. But I know that for some of you, the night can be a time of weariness. Perhaps your mind is tired from the day's labor. Perhaps you find it difficult to hold a visual image, or you find that trying to see a specific bank balance creates more tension than relief. If you find yourself struggling with the visual mechanics, do not be discouraged. The law of the spirit is not a test of your artistic ability, it is a test of your resonance. This is why we have a shortcut, a method so simple, yet so devastatingly effective, that it can move mountains while you sleep. We call it the Isn't It Wonderful lullaby. This method is based on the emotional essence. You see, the subconscious mind is not actually looking for a picture. It is looking for a frequency. A picture is simply a way to trigger a feeling. But if you can trigger the feeling directly, if you can capture the aroma of the finished fact without needing the visual blueprint, you can achieve the same quantum result. By using a lullaby of gratitude, you bypass the complexity of the brain and speak directly to the heart of the infinite. The law of emotional distillation. Think of your desire as a complex garden. In that garden, there are many flowers: the new home, the debt-free life, the perfect health, and the loving relationships. You could spend all night trying to visualize every petal of every flower. Or, you could simply distill the entire garden into one single drop of perfume. That perfume is the emotion of relief. The lullaby method is the process of emotional distillation. Instead of worrying about how the money arrives or what the house looks like, you ask yourself, how would I feel right now if my life were a masterpiece of abundance? The answer is almost always a combination of peace, gratitude, and wonder. By using a single phrase like, "Isn't it wonderful?" or a simple, "Thank you," you are activating the emotional essence of the wish fulfilled. You aren't telling the universe what is wonderful. You are simply declaring that something wonderful has already happened. The vibration of gratitude. Gratitude is the highest quantum signature. In the physical world, we say, thank you, after we receive something. But in the quantum realm, saying, thank you, is the command of reception. When you repeat a lullaby of gratitude as you drift into sleep, you are telling your subconscious that the gift has already been delivered. You are closing the gap between wanting and having. If you say, I want to be rich, you are broadcasting lack. If you visualize a specific car, you are broadcasting search. But when you whisper, isn't it wonderful, you are broadcasting arrival. You are in the state of the satisfied consumer. The subconscious mind, which is the perfect servant, hears this vibration and says, my master is feeling wonderful because of a finished fact. I must now rearrange the outer world to justify this feeling. The lullaby forces the universe to find a reason for your gratitude. How to practice the lullaby tonight. As you enter the state akin to sleep, I want you to let go of the effort to see. Let your eyes rest in the darkness. Feel your body becoming heavy and limp. Now, instead of a visual loop, begin to repeat your chosen phrase. Isn't it wonderful? Thank you. Thank you. Something marvelous is happening to me now. Do not say it with your lips. Say it with your feeling. Let the words be like a siren song that lulls you into the deep. Do not think about your problems. Do not think about your bills. Simply wrap yourself in the atmosphere of the phrase. Repeat it over and over, slower and slower, as you slip into the theta state. You want to fall asleep within the vibration of the word. You want the final pulse of your conscious day to be the pulse of wonder. Why? Isn't it wonderful? Works. The genius of this specific phrase is that it is non-specific. When you say, I have $1 million, your conscious gatekeeper might try to argue. But when you say, isn't it wonderful? The gatekeeper has nothing to attack. It's a question that implies an answer has already been given. It bypasses all resistance. It's like a backdoor into the subconscious. This method is particularly powerful for general abundance. It allows the higher intelligence of the subconscious to pick the best possible way to bless you. It might bring you a new career, a sudden inheritance, or a brilliant idea, often in ways your conscious mind could never have imagined. By focusing on the emotional essence, you are allowing the infinite wisdom to handle the details, while you simply enjoy the result. The harvest of the lullaby, my friends. Do not mistake simple for weak. The lullaby method is a heavyweight technique. When you fall asleep in the cloud of wonder, you wake up in a different world. You will find that your internal compass has been reset. You will find yourself making the right decisions, meeting the right people, and being in the right place at the right time. You are programming your bioelectromagnetic field while you sleep. You are turning your heart into a magnet for wonders. If you find visual scenes difficult, or if you just want a night of pure, effortless creation, use the lullaby. Let the two words, thank you, be the hammer that collapses the wave of your new life. Stop trying to build the world. Start feeling the wonder. The essence is the reality. The gratitude is the bridge. The lullaby is the key. The 24-hour mental diet. Mastering radical inner speech. My friends, we have spent much time discussing the midnight operation. We have mastered the silence, the setis, and the sensory loop. But now, we must face the most common cause of manifestation failure. We must talk about what happens when you open your eyes and step out into the world of Caesar. Many seekers spend 10 minutes in a beautiful meditation, feeling like a king or a queen, only to spend the next 23 hours complaining about the weather, worrying about the news, and arguing with their bank statements. They do not realize that a 10-minute seed cannot survive a 23-hour flood of toxic waste. To truly walk in the state of the wish fulfilled, you must commit to the 24-hour mental diet. You must become the guardian of your radical inner speech. You must understand that your manifestation is not something you do once a day. It is the sum total of your internal conversation. Your life is not a result of your prayers. It is a result of your honor monologue. If you want to change your world, you must change your diet. You must refuse to eat the crumbs of lack, and instead feast on the bread of abundance every hour of every day. The law of perpetual broadcast. The quantum field does not have an off switch. It is always listening. It is not just listening to you when you are on your knees or in your settees. It is listening to you when you are stuck in traffic, when you are washing the dishes, and when you are talking to your friends. Your inner speech is a perpetual broadcast. Every word you whisper to yourself in the secret place of your mind is a command to the field to create. Most people use their inner speech to react to the world. They see a high price tag and they say, I can't afford that. They hear about a layoff and they say, I might be next. This is a reactive diet. It is eating the poison of the 3D world and then wondering why you feel sick. To manifest at quantum speed, you must move from reactive speech to proactive command. You must decide that your inner world is the master and the outer world is the servant. Radical inner speech, the armor of the soul. Radical inner speech is the act of consciously choosing your internal dialogue, regardless of the outer evidence. It is called radical because it requires you to be unreasonable. When the world shows you a no, you must inwardly hear a yes. When your bank account shows empty, you must inwardly say, my supply is infinite and ever present. This is not positive thinking. This is state maintenance. If you have truly collapsed the wave in your sets, then the thing you desire is already a done deal. Therefore, any thought of lack is actually a lie. When you catch yourself thinking a thought of struggle, you must treat it like a spiritual intruder. You do not fight it, you simply replace it. You say, thank you, but that is no longer my truth. My truth is abundance. You must become so disciplined that not a single unproductive word passes the threshold of your mind. The mirror of conversation. Your inner speech is the blueprint that the subconscious uses to build your tomorrow. If you spend your day mental gossiping about how hard life is, you are literally giving the subconscious a daily order for more hardship. But if you spend your day in a mental conversation with a friend who is congratulating you on your success, you are cementing the new identity. Try this exercise tomorrow throughout the day. Imagine you are overhearing people talking about how lucky you are. Hear them saying, I don't know how they did it, but everything they touch turns to gold. When you look at your reflection in a shop window, do not look at the physical man, look at the quantum man, and say, I love how easy it is for you to succeed. This is the diet of a master. It is the fuel that keeps the state of the wish fulfilled alive until it hardens into fact. Avoiding the interference of reaction. The 3D world is a delayed broadcast. It is like watching a pre-recorded show. If something happens that you don't like, realize that you are just seeing the result of an old diet. If you react to it with anger or fear, you are collapsing that old reality. You are eating the old food again. The mental diet requires you to be vibrationally indifferent. You must look at the lack with the same emotion you would look at a movie you've already seen. You know how it ends, so the middle part doesn't scare you. You keep your inner speech focused on the end. You keep your appetite only for thoughts of success, harmony, and wealth. This discipline creates a force field around your manifestation, preventing the noise of the world from cohering your signal. The mastery of the inner monologue, my friends. Your inner speech is the most powerful creative tool you possess. It is the brush that paints the canvas of your life. A clean diet means that you no longer indulge in the luxury of a negative thought. You don't have the time for it. You are too busy observing your wealth. Tonight, as you drift into your sets, make a covenant with yourself. Promise that tomorrow you will not be a victim of the news or a slave to the senses. You will be the governor of your thoughts. You will feast on the feeling of the finished fact. You will speak only the language of the I am. What you say in the dark of your mind, the universe will shout in the light of your day. Watch your words. Watch your world. The diet is the discipline. The speech is the seed. The abundance is the harvest. Living in the mystery of occupying the state, my friends. We have mastered the midnight hour, and we have disciplined the daylight diet. But now, we must address the vibrational gap that keeps so many weary travelers stuck in a perpetual state of waiting. We must speak of the difference between manifesting towards a goal and living from the goal. This is the secret of occupying the state. In our linear 3D world, we are taught to be strivers. We are taught that we are here, and our dream is there, and that we must spend our lives building a bridge of effort to cross the distance. But in the quantum realm, distance is an illusion. There is no there. There is only the eternal now. If you are manifesting towards your wealth, You are inadvertently telling the universe that you do not have it. The very act of trying to get something implies its absence. And as we have learned, the quantum field is a perfect mirror. If you broadcast seeking, it must reflect seeking. To collapse the wave of your desire into physical fact, you must perform a radical act of temporal displacement. You must stop traveling and start arriving. You must live as though the future has already happened and the world is simply a delayed broadcast, catching up to your current vibration. The trap of I will be. The most dangerous words in the English language for a manifestor are, I will be. When you say, I will be rich, you have placed your wealth on a timeline that is forever one day ahead of you. You have created a future fact that remains a future fact forever. You are like a greyhound chasing a mechanical rabbit. The faster you run towards it, the faster it moves away from you. This is the trap of the seeking state. To break this cycle, you must move into the I am. You must move from the process to the finished result. You do not try to become a person of value. You occupy the state of being a person of value. You do not hope to be loved. You walk with the quiet, inner radiance of one who is already deeply, profoundly adored. When you occupy the end, you have removed the potential gap. You have brought the destination into the now, and by doing so, you force the universe to materialize that state around you. Occupying the state, the posture of the soul. What does it mean to occupy a state? It means that you allow the feeling of the wish fulfilled to color every action, every thought, and every breath of your day. It is the posture of the soul. Think of an actor who is playing the role of a king. When the actor is in character, he doesn't try to be a king. He simply is the king. He doesn't look for approval. He expects it. He doesn't walk with a hurried, anxious step. He moves with the unhurried grace of one who owns the land. If someone insults him, he doesn't react with the anger of a beggar. He reacts with the divine indifference of a sovereign. He has occupied the state. Tomorrow, as you walk down the street, I want you to wear your wealth. Do not wait for the bank balance to change to feel the security. Feel the security first, and the bank balance will be forced to change. When you pick up a cup of coffee, feel the naturalness of the person who has millions in the bank. When you speak to a stranger, speak from the state of the version of you who is already successful. You are not pretending. You are broadcasting from the end. The world as a delayed broadcast. One of the greatest challenges of living in the end is the lying senses. Your eyes will look at your current reality and say, see, nothing has changed. You are still in the same house. You are still in the same job. This is the moment where you must stand firm. You must realize that the 3D world is merely old news. It is the echo of your past thoughts. If you react to the old news, you re-enter the old state. You deoccupy the palace and move back into the shack. But if you look at the old reality and say, this is just a shadow, my true reality is the one I am occupying within, you stay in the end. You are like a gardener who has planted a seed. You don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You know the harvest is a finished fact in the world of causes, and you simply wait for the world of effects to catch up. You are in the world, but you are not of it. You are living in the end. The how is not your business. When you live in the end, you stop worrying about the how. The how is the bridge of incidence, and it is the responsibility of the infinite intelligence, not your ego. When you occupy the state of being wealthy, you don't need to figure out which stock to buy or which person to meet, because you are at the destination. The destination will pull the necessary means toward you. If you are worrying about the how, you have stepped out of the end and back into the beginning. You are again manifesting towards a goal. To live in the end is to have a divine certainty. It is the feeling of relief you get when you have already crossed the finish line. The race is over. The prize is in your hand. The rest of the world is just watching the instant replay. Walking in the atmosphere of success. Tonight, as you drift into your setties, do not go to your dream. Bring your dream to you. Put yourself into the very center of the finished fact. Feel the atmosphere of the room where you are already the person you want to be. What is the temperature? What is the mood? How does your body feel in the chair? When you wake up tomorrow, do not leave that atmosphere behind. Carry it with you like a sacred scent. If someone asks you how you are, answer from the state of the wealthy you. You don't have to tell them your secrets, But you must feel the secret truth. You are not seeking wealth, you are radiating wealth. You are not trying to get loved, you are being love. The world is a mirror of your internal occupancy. If you live in the end must become the beginning of your physical reality. Stop traveling, start arriving, occupy the palace tonight. The Sabbath, the point of non-reaction and divine mental rest. My friends, we have traveled through the fire of transformation. We have forged the identity, we have looped the sensory act, and we have disciplined the inner monologue. But now, we come to the most profound mystery of the creative process. It is a place of absolute stillness that many seekers mistake for giving up. But in reality, it is the highest form of faith in action. We must speak of the Sabbath. This is not a day of the week, nor is it a religious ritual. The Sabbath is a state of consciousness. It is the point of non-reaction. It is the moment when the internal work is so complete, so saturated, and so solid that you no longer feel the urge to do the technique. You have reached the stage of mental rest. In the story of creation, we are told that on the seventh day, the Creator rested. This was not because the Creator was tired. It was because the work was finished. There was nothing more to add. In your own manifestation journey, there comes a moment when the feeling of your wish fulfilled becomes so natural, so ordinary, that you simply cannot visualize it anymore with the same hunger. The hunger is gone because you are spiritually full. This is the Sabbath. It is the period of psychological gestation where you are pregnant with your new reality, and you simply wait for the natural, inevitable birth. The end of the effort. The greatest sign that your manifestation is locked in is when the desire for it vanishes. Most people are terrified by this. They think, oh no, I've lost my focus. I don't feel like doing my sets tonight. Does this mean I don't want it anymore? No, my friends. It means you have it. You do not desire the air you are currently breathing. You do not desire the shoes you are currently wearing. You only desire that which you perceive to be outside of yourself. When you reach the Sabbath, the object of your desire has moved from the outside to the inside. You have successfully impressed the subconscious mind. The seed has cracked open and taken root. At this stage, trying to force more visualization is like trying to plant a seed that is already growing. It is unnecessary, and it creates interference. The Sabbath is the law of mental rest. It is the moment you step back and allow the infinite builder to do the heavy lifting in the 3D world. The point of non-reaction. The true test of the Sabbath is your non-reaction to the physical world. Before you reached this state, you were constantly checking the mirror. You would look at your bank account to see if the manifestation was working. You would look for signs and omens. If the world showed you lack, you would panic and run back to your techniques to fix it. But in the Sabbath, you are immune to the evidence of the senses. You stop looking for results because you have the internal result. You have a deep, quiet certainty that is beyond logic. If the world shows you a no, you don't flinch. You don't argue. You don't even feel the need to affirm yes. You simply know. It is the same certainty you have that the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't have to manifest the sunrise. You just know it is coming. This non-reaction is the final signature of the master. You are no longer reacting to the shadow. You are resting in the light. The mystery of gestation, the natural birth. Every seed has its own appointed ore. A corn seed takes a different amount of time to grow than an oak tree. A human child takes 9 months to come to birth. Your manifestation also has a gestation period. In the quantum field, the collapse has already happened. In your consciousness, the state is already occupied, but in the 3D world, the world of density and delay, the bridge of incidence must unfold. The Sabbath is the time of waiting without anxious thought. You are pregnant with your wealth. You don't try to make the baby grow. Your body handles that automatically. Your only job in the Sabbath is to remain in the state. Do not abort the manifestation by returning to the state of doubt. If you return to wanting, you have stepped out of the Sabbath. If you stay in knowing, the natural birth is a mathematical certainty. The world will rearrange itself, often through a series of ordinary events, to hand you the physical version of your internal fact. Entering the silence of the dawn deal tonight, as you lie in your bed, I want you to check your internal temperature. Do you still feel a hectic urge to make it happen? Do you feel a strain in your imagination? If so, continue your loop of persistency. But if you feel a sense of fullness, if you feel as though the scene has lost its charge, because it has become so real that it's ordinary, then celebrate. You have reached the Sabbath. In this state, you don't need to visualize. You simply lie there in the quiet knowing. You might whisper, "Thank you, it is done." You fall asleep not in the process of creating, but in the peace of having created. This is the mental rest that precedes the miracle. You have handed the blueprints to the Father, and the Father never fails to build what the Son has imagined. The sovereign's rest, my friends. The world is full of strivers who never arrive. You are a sovereign who has already arrived. The Sabbath is your throne room. It is the place where you sit and watch the Bridge of Incidence unfold with a sense of amused certainty. You are not surprised when the money arrives. You are not shocked when the door opens. You simply say, "Of course, I have known this for weeks." The Sabbath is the final seal. It is the amen of the soul. Once you reach this point of non-reaction, the game of shadows is over. The light of fact is about to break. Stop the struggle, enter the rest. The work is finished. The seed is in the earth. The child is in the womb. The wealth is in the field. The Bridge of Incidence, the mystery of the divine appointment. My friends, we have come to the final chapter of our journey. We have traversed the quantum field, we have anchored our senses, and we have entered the holy Sabbath of mental rest. Now we must speak of the most mysterious and beautiful part of the entire process, the physical unfolding. We must talk about how the Word becomes flesh. We must speak of the Bridge of Incidence. In the world of the Spirit, this is the automatic path that connects your internal state to your external reality. It is a series of events, seemingly natural, and sometimes even accidental, that carries you, as if on a moving walkway, straight to the fulfillment of your desire. You must understand this one thing above all else: you do not build the bridge. The bridge builds itself. Your only job is to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled. If you try to help the manifestation happen, if you try to force doors open or manipulate people to get your way, you are actually dismantling the bridge. You are signaling to the universe that you don't trust the law. But when you stay in the knowing, the divine appointment begins to move. The world becomes a giant, synchronized machine, turning every gear and moving every person to ensure that what you have imagined in the dark is manifested in the light. The illusion of the natural event. One of the reasons people miss their own manifestations is that the Bridge of Incidence often looks ordinary. It does not always arrive with a lightning bolt or a choir of angels. It arrives through a natural sequence of events. You might get a random phone call from an old friend. You might feel a strange hunch to take a different route home from work. You might find yourself standing in line at a coffee shop next to a stranger who happens to have the exact information you need. To the awakened man, these are just coincidences, but to the quantum mystic, these are divine appointments. They are the incidences that make up the bridge. Because you have changed your internal frequency, you have pulled these events into your timeline. They are not happening to you, they are happening because of you. The Bridge of Incidence is the universe's way of navigating the density of time to deliver your result in the most efficient way possible. The law of non-interference. This is the hardest lesson for the human ego to learn. Do not try to help. When you are on the Bridge of Incidence, you are like a passenger on a great ocean liner. You don't need to go down to the engine room and try to turn the propellers yourself. The ship is already moving toward the destination you programmed into the GPS during your sates. If you start meddling in the physical world, trying to make the money come or forcing a person to call you, you are actually stepping out of the state of having and back into the state of needing. You are breaking the circuit. The Bridge of Incidence requires a divine non-interference. You must walk through your day as if you are watching a magnificent movie unfold. If an opportunity comes, you take it. If a hunch arrives, you follow it. But you do not strain, you do not struggle, you follow the path of least action, the divine appointment, people as instruments. On the Bridge of Incidence, other people become instruments of your will. They don't even know why they are doing it. A bank manager might suddenly decide to approve a loan he previously rejected. A stranger might feel a sudden urge to tell you about a job opening. They think it is their own idea, but they are actually responding to the electromagnetic signature you have broadcasted. Neville taught us that, no one to change but self. When you change yourself, the others on your bridge must change their behavior to match your new state. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to network in a panic. You simply need to be the person who already has the result. When you are that person, the divine appointments are scheduled automatically. The right people will find you. The right doors will swing open. The bridge will hold your weight. The how is the secret of the Father. I want you to remember this phrase. The Father has ways that the Son knows not of. The Son is your conscious reasoning mind. It has a limited view. It can only see the possible. But the Father is your subconscious, connected to the infinite field. It sees the impossible as an everyday fact. Do not limit the bridge of incidence by trying to calculate how the wealth will come. If you think the money must come through a lottery win or a raise, you are closing a million other doors. The bridge might come through an inheritance, a tax refund, a brilliant business idea, or a gift from a stranger. Your only job is to endure in the end. Let the how be the delightful surprise that meets you at the end of the bridge. Walking the bridge with grace. Tonight, as we conclude this masterclass, I want you to feel a sense of complete release. You have done the inner work. You have planted the seed. You have entered the Sabbath. Now, you are simply walking the bridge. Tomorrow morning, wake up with a sense of expectancy. Look at every event, even the bad ones, as a potential plank in your bridge. Sometimes, a problem is actually a detour that leads you to a much greater success. If a door closes, don't bang on it. The bridge is simply turning a corner. Stay in the frequency of naturalness. Stay in the mental diet. The bridge is already under your feet. Every step you take is a step toward the finished fact. You are not getting there, you are unfolding into there. The appointments are made. The events are synchronized. The bridge is solid. Closing the circle, your new life. My friends, we have covered the 10 pillars of the Quantum Manifestation Masterclass, from the pre-flight check of your identity to the Bridge of Incidence that carries you home. You now possess the manual for the machine of miracles. But remember, information without application is just mental noise. You cannot think about these laws, you must live them. You must be the one who shuts the door. You must be the one who feels the ring. You must be the one who refuses to eat the crusts of lack. The world of 3D shadows is fading. The world of quantum reality is waking up within you. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are the architect of time. You are the commander of the wave. You are the I am. Go now and walk your bridge. The harvest is ready. The wealth is yours. It is done. It is done.